So the first question I would like to answer today with you is to ask a question. Ask a question: how social we are? How social we are? Because we all know that we are social animals, right? We are social animals. Humans are social animals. But the question is how much social we are. And I would like to present a couple of evidence today to show this magnitude. This observation that we are social animals is very early. It was first explicitly proposed by Aristotle, and actually we have Aristotle here today. He's with us here. He's our lucky charm. He will inspire us very often. Actually, he's one of the first real philosophers, or one of the first real scientists. So he will, when we have some problems and we don't know how to answer some questions, because you will ask me certain questions, I hope, I will, rub his head and he will inspire me to provide the best answers possible. So, how social are people? What is the best evidence that we are extremely social? And obviously, the best evidence is evidence that is related to the earliest human experiences. And in fact, if we look at I must get smaller a little bit. I'm too much dominating on the screen. So if we focus, I'm flying. It's just sorry for this. So if we look at the very earliest moments in people's life, we can observe something very specific. And actually, 1 year ago, when my youngest son was born, I had this remarkable experience, which was surprising to me and so striking, that at the very first moment when he left my wife's body, my wife's womb, he was looking at us. He was looking immediately at us. The very first thing. There were so many, interesting things around him. Imagine that you are, for the first time, on the world. You see virtually nothing for the first part of your life, and then suddenly you appear in a wonderful new environment, and the first thing that you focus on is other people, and namely other people's eyes and lives also, other people's eyes. Two things are very surprising here. One thing that's surprising is that how can a child that's small understand that there are eyes, there are people, and there are eyes. They have eyes, and because this child can have no understanding of the environment around him or her. He or she has no idea that this is mother, this is father, this is food, this is warmth, this is comfort, this is fun, this is joy, this is security, this is milk. This little 1 minute old person has no idea about all these functions that other people serve and will serve in his or her life. So this is surprising, and obviously it's not surprising when we think more about this, because we know that evolutionary processes work, and some people are much more likely to survive, some are less likely to survive, depending on some biological inborn instincts or inborn mechanisms that we have, inborn urges that we have. And obviously those individuals, little individuals who have this biological urge to focus on white objects, white symmetrical objects with black dots inside are at the greater advantage for survival, because a child does not know that these are eyes, these are people, but obviously this child has this inborn mechanism to focus on eyes, to focus on some perceptual patterns that are especially appealing, to this young child. Children have a lot of inborn instincts that they experience pleasure in certain situations, like being hugged, being fed, being gently rubbed, when their skin is gently rubbed, and they obviously have some preference. So they have some they derive some pleasure from looking at these particular objects, and it appears very early. As I said, I observed personally in the first minutes of my son's Alex's life, but generally up to a day or two, children usually do it, and they distinguish between faces with open eyes and faces with closed eyes, faces that look directly at them or do not look directly at them, and they have no preference for faces upside down. So it's a complex mechanism that they have in their mind, in their brain, hardwired in their brain, and obviously it helps them to differentiate objects that are extremely important from objects that are not that important. So, and the extremely important objects are obviously other people. So it sparks their orientation towards other people. And obviously, it also helps them to initiate, to start from the very early moment, building social bond with their parents or with their caretakers. Because when someone is looking at you, it's an extremely rewarding experience. People like when other people are looking at them. They like to be the focal point of some other people. So if a parent sees a face of a child that's looking at him, he says, "Oh my God, he sees me. I'm important. I'm important to him. He's looking at me. He's thinking about me. He's loving me." Obviously, he's not at this moment. He has no idea that it's mother, it's father, it's food, it's warmth, it's everything. It's just the pleasure of looking at some pattern. If you have any questions, if you have any comments, feel free to comment. I will be happy to answer them throughout this lecture. So this is very similar. What the child sees is very similar. Is very similar to. Oh, thanks, Julia, for subscribing to Psychology Well. So this is very similar to how artificial intelligence operates. It has some. It's artificial intelligence that is trained on faces. Is able to look at the world, searching for faces, searching for eyes, obviously, everywhere. And it's second Julia also subscribe. Thank you. And also, are there any more Julias there? Not really. So the brain, if you wish to imagine what the world looks like from the perspective of a child, it is probably a little bit like this. It's searching for eyes everywhere. It's obsessed with eyes. And eyes, we are also obsessed with eyes until the end of our, even if we get older, because if we speak with other people, we usually look at their eyes, obviously, unless there's something peculiar about their face, other parts of their face or other parts of their body. But basically, it's impolite not to look at eyes when you're talking with someone. So this is the most social part of our body. Face is the most social part of our body, and eyes are the most social part of our body. So this might give us a little bit of idea what the world might look like, and also if you look at the creative work of people who are losing their contact with the world, because if we talk about infants, newborns, we're talking about people who just start their contact with the world. It's the first experience. And now when we also look at the experience of people who lose their contact with the world, lose their contact with reality, for instance, people who suffer from schizophrenia, who become autistic, so they close in their inner world, they separate from the outer world. It's also very often that the faces are present in their works, and the eyes are very often peculiar. Watching eyes, many eyes, eyes separated from the face, are eyes on the walls, eyes everywhere. So these eyes are so disturbing in the work of people who struggle with schizophrenia. So it also shows that how important this social element and the social aspect is. And so we have a child who's hardwired, who's ready biologically, neuroanatomically, probably to find the most important thing in the world and to start influencing this object, this person, to form a social bond. Obviously, it's not a reasonable action, it's not intentional, because people at that age don't have intentionality. But for the mechanism to work, right? For the mechanism to work properly, you need a special hardwiring at the other side as well. So if the person arrives at the world and is oriented towards people, it's very good if there are people in the world who are also oriented towards this newborn. So luckily, the world is designed in such a way that this is the case. So we have, most of us, obviously not everyone, but most of us has this response to cuteness, the strong emotional response to cuteness. If you look at these little objects here, they are very much influenced or infused with cuteness. And when people see living organisms, animals, obviously mostly children, because probably our response to animals is just a byproduct. To cute animals is just a byproduct of responding to cute children. In fact, cute children and cute animals have the same features of baby morphology, like big eyes, short limbs, being clumsy. So animals greatly benefit from the fact that they are similar to children. But we all have this cuteness response. Most of us, we usually have. So this is the cutest. Which of these objects here you find the cutest? Give me some feedback. Which of these objects you find the cutest? Please write in the comments. I would like to know this. And also the entertainment industry also capitalizes on this response to cuteness in humans, and they create some characters that possess this baby morphology, and we really like them. We are very responsive to them. Like in the last Star Wars movie, there was this character called Babu Freak, which actually is an old character but possesses a lot of features related to baby morphology. So there were people who said that it's one of the one of the cutest one of the cutest being in the Star Wars universe, which is kind of odd because he has some Babu Freak was really cute. For me it was the most intriguing and the most likable character in the ninth part of the saga, but obviously he has also some revolting characteristic to him, which makes him much more interesting. So Anna likes the piggy best, and this little girl from Monsters Incorporated, yeah, because she's also sad. She's not only cute, but she's also sad, which enhances this social response, because the function of sadness is to motivate other people to approach us. In fact, to approach us, to hug us, to cheer us up. So this is a combo, right? This is a combo. This is a cute, sad little being. So it initiates two responses that we cannot resist. So being sad and being cute. Can there be something sweeter than this? And Carolina says, hold on a second. Yeah, it should go. I think it should go like this. And Carolina says that cats are always the sweetest. Yeah, cats are very very. I hate cats. Sorry, you will hate me now, but I hate cats because they disseminate toxoplasmosis, which is a very nasty pathogen, and I actually suffered from it. Many people have it, but don't realize that some symptomatology that they have can be from the cats. So, but and cats are very, cats are wild. They have this mentality of tigers, of big cats, big hostile, ruthless animals. Carolina is very sad that I don't like cats. But it's not that I hate them that much. I just prefer dogs. And in fact, we have a research with one of my MA students on cats and dogs and their influence on well-being, and we found that dogs are better. That really dogs are much more emotionally responsive. But I know that many people love cats, especially at our university. Cats are like holy cows of our university. They are in many places. So, and obviously they helped us a lot in the past, fighting some animals, some rodents that were able to destroy our crops. So they had a very good influence on the development of our society. So sorry, Caroline, don't be sad anymore. The girl under the piggy having the best chill out, says Martina. Which is, yeah, she's cute and she's joyful and she's playful, which is also a good combination. And the strength, right? The strength of this influence of the strength of the influence of morphology, of baby morphology, on our social behavior is so strong and so much irresistible that even if we look at how we treat adults and children who are not that fragile anymore as these infants and newborns, we also have this disarming effect. So it shows across many situations, across many different contexts, that even adults and older children who have high levels of baby facedness, they benefit from it. It's like these little pets, little animals that benefit from our necessity to take care of children. So also older children benefit from this. So children who have a very baby-like faces, even when they are at the same age as other people. So imagine a group of pupils, of group of primary school students, and some of them are look more baby-faced, and others less baby-faced. So these that look more baby-faced, they receive the less demanding tasks. They are punished less for misbehavior, because obviously we do not attribute that much intentionality to these children. And also among adults, adults who are more baby-faced are less likely to be CEO. So they are less likely to have to receive posts that require jobs that require responsibility, intentionality, some difficult making difficult decisions, and things like this. But it's even more interesting that this appeals, this refers to white CEOs, but does not. This effect is neutralized when a CEO is black, and it's very interesting because these are two arguments that indicate how this strong effect is. So if we have a black worker who applies for the job of CEO, and black individuals are stereotypically very often associated with more aggressive behavior. So if they have this high level of baby-facedness, they are stereotypically perceived higher aggressiveness is neutralized to an optimal level. So these are two arguments that this disarming effect operates in many contexts. And also, if you go to the court and you have a trial, a civil trial, so you argue with another person, you say this and the other person says that, and you want the judge to distinguish to decide who's right and who's wrong, then it's much more likely that you will win the trial. So the judge is more likely to say that you are right if you are more baby-faced. And this is a striking example. This is a striking example of this disarming bias, how much hardwired this is in our brains. Because judges are these professionals from whom we might, and we would like to expect that their judgments are unbiased, that they are fair, that they are controlling any kind of psychological bias to give the right decision. And obviously, even for such trained individuals, they basically use this peripheral information to draw conclusions, unless the plaintiff is also baby-faced. So if you accuse someone of something, and the person whom you accuse is baby-faced, and you are baby-faced, so there are two baby-faced individuals, this effect does not operate. So it also supports this hypothesis that we had, that this effect is very strictly hardwired. It shows how social we are, how intensely social we are. From the very early beginning, we have children who have hardwired searching for people. So the child arrives at the world and says, seek other people. Where are you? Where are you? So Julia asks about white or black females. I'm not certain whether there is no effect for females or whether this study analyzed only males. I'm not sure about this. So if you would like to know about this, I can check it for you later, or you can check it yourself, searching for these papers. If you Google Zebrowitz and disarming effects, or Livingstone and disarming effects, there should be a paper. Hopefully it will be available. If not, try to get access to it through our system of our university. But what would be your, why did you ask about this? What would be your idea what this might be? I know that, do you have any guesses? Would it be the same or not? Basically, women are perceived as less aggressive, I would say. So your idea is whether there should be some effect that that additionally produces less likelihood of being CEO if you are female, because this is also the case. As far as I know, there are, for some reasons, less women who are CEO. Although I know a research recently conducted in Poland, it was that showed that companies where some parts of the CEOs are female, they operate much better if there is a blend. So this is an argument for the parity in men and women in the executive officers boards. So my guess would be that being a female is perceived as being less aggressive. So it would operate in white females. It would operate giving them even lower likelihood, but in black females, I wonder whether it would produce another optimal level of likelihood of perceiving someone as progressive, or it would produce effect that falls below the expected threshold. I don't know. So, but very, very, very interesting question. I cannot answer it in any other way than just guessing. So let's proceed. Another example. How social we are, if you are not convinced by the first evidence. So you have 4 faces. And please give me an answer. Write which 2, let's say 2, which 2 persons would you invite for an interview for a babysitter for your child, right? So imagine that you are searching for a babysitter, and you can invite 2 persons for an interview. So please just give me your first guess. Which 2 persons would you invite for this interview? Well, would it be the person 1, person 2, person 3, or person 4? I would like to know your answers. And actually, I'm a kind of I have magical psychological abilities, and I can write on a paper now and show you in a moment. I will do which one will you choose? I'm not looking at your answers, so I will just tell you what it will be. So psychology is about predicting human behavior. Oh, you already started to answer, and try to give me some explanation why. Try to give me some explanation why. Why do you think these and not the others? I'm sorry, not the other persons would be the candidates for the babysitter for your children. So you are very there is a very high agreement among you, and it is in line in what I wrote here. So I knew that it will be 1 and 3, so I'm able to read your minds. This is another thing that we will talk about later by the end of these series of lectures. So psychology gives you the ability to read your minds. Wow, this is great. And what are your answers? So you say you still carry on this idea of baby-facedness. This might be the case a little bit as well, perhaps. Carolina says that it's the smile that matters, and this might be the case as well. And Anna used the keyword. She said that they look more trustworthy. So Anna receives the reward, the first reward that I will distribute here throughout this lecture. Congratulations, Anna. You used the keyword. They are more trustworthy. And the reward is my personal congratulation to you. So let me give you the reward now. Congratulations, Anna. Congratulations. Well done. So they look more trustworthy, definitely. And actually, there are many characteristics you might mention here, but they all boil down to this trustworthiness. And these faces are just blends of people, because in social experiments we have this method of blending faces to receive faces that have the exact characteristics that we would like to have, and these faces were blended so that they maximize trustworthiness in phase 1 and phase 3. They say they are more gentle and caring, Kalina says. This would correspond with the idea being gentle and caring to the idea of baby-facedness again. Obviously, we talked about baby-facedness a moment ago, so you are primed and your cognitive structures are related to spotting baby-facedness are extremely activated at this moment. But basically, if we look at the immediate automatic responses that people have, so the first one is baby-facedness, as you mentioned, and they initiate gentle and caring behavior, being very gentle, being very slow, being delicate. It's a child, it's fragile. So the second one is trustworthiness. Actually, trustworthiness is the first one. So it tells us whether we should run away or whether we should whether we are free to approach this person. When we see a new person, we are people are curious. Anna I can see that Anna is very happy for her prize. She received three little goblets. So people are basically very curious animals. So whenever we can approach someone and talk with this person, we usually do it. So this is a problem now, right? This is a problem now when we have this quarantine, and we shouldn't do it. In Germany, they introduced this law that only two people can talk at the same time, meet at the same time. It's very, very much against social nature of people. We'll talk about infectious diseases later throughout this lecture, and social functioning, because it's also very, 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 very important. So they are more attractive and look more positive. Obviously there are also more attractive, because trustworthy people are generally more attractive. It's attractive to look trustworthy. Indeed, that's true, Zofia. So we have these three responses. One is whether we should approach or not this person. The second one, whether we should be gentle with this person. It's the baby-facedness. And the third one, whether we should try to initiate a closer relationship with this person of sexual nature, which is attractiveness, physical attractiveness. We have these three main responses hardwired into our brains. So another another argument that we are there is something extremely social hardwired into our brains, and it must be hardwired because you all agreed to it. There is a high agreement, and you formulated extremely judgmental, extremely discriminative, opinion about these people based solely on their faces. And what's even more striking, experimental research in social psychology shows that we need about 30 milliseconds. 30 milliseconds to formulate these extremely discriminative judgments. And it needs about 180 milliseconds until we are able to formulate this judgment, and full judgment, and above 180 milliseconds of looking at the person, we do not derive any more information about trustworthiness of this person. So it shows that we are able to evaluate a person based on some immediate response, and we do it. We do it very, very, very quickly. Obviously, this is a problem. This is a problem for people who look untrustworthy, because there are many people who are trustworthy people, who are nice, good, decent people of the highest integrity, but their faces just look so untrustworthy. There was I remember that there was this. It seemed very paradoxical and very tragic to me that a couple of years ago we have a minister for the I know what's called in English, but the minister who's responsible for the judgmental system in Poland. So we had this minister who really looked. It's my opinion. I'm sorry. I know he was a decent person, and he is a decent person, good person. He helps a lot of people. He's a very good person, and I think he was a good minister as well. But he really looked like a criminal to me, and I thought it's such a tragedy that such a guy who is into this system, juridical system, has so bad luck with the way he looks like. And I thought that it's tragic about stereotypes that people are subjected to them. And also, I think that popular media are responsible for this, because if you watch some movies, like Hollywood movies, for instance, they very often have a very stereotypical way that you present the villains, the bad people in this movie. They also usually have stereotypically untrustworthy faces, which enhances this stereotype that some people may suffer from later, because when you watch a movie, you say, okay, I know who's the bad guy, and when you see a person in your everyday life, I say, you should have these bursts of associations. And you say, okay, she's probably a bad guy. So my idea when I thought about this is that there should be an association of people who look like criminals but are decent people, and they should, try to make some campaign. You guess what's his surname? You can guess. I think it wouldn't be polite if I tell you this name, but you can guess. It's obviously not the current minister, because he's much more baby-faced, I think. Definitely baby-faced. There were some previous ones. You can Google them. You can Google prime ministers. He wasn't the prime minister. You can Google the ministers of the juridical system in Poland in the past, and you can say. You can look, and I think you will be immediately able to say which person I was talking about. So there should be an association of people, of decent people with trustworthy faces, and they should make some policy for the media and for the movie making industry to make some parity, to make a change, so that half of the villains in each Hollywood movie look untrustworthy, and half of them look trustworthy. Obviously, there are some more sophisticated movies in which the black characters are, the black character, not the black characters, but the villains are are misleading, especially if it's a crime movie, and then some people who look trustworthy may appear not trustworthy, things like this. But basically, there should be a parity that half of the villains look untrustworthy, half of the villains look trustworthy, and half of the protagonists, the heroes, should look trustworthy, and half of them should look untrustworthy, so that we can fight against this bias. So Martina says that she will guess, but she's not guessing. But perhaps you probably get this idea. It's not important. It's just a fun fact and just my association. And we know exactly what these features are and what people look at when they try to distinguish whether a person is trustworthy or not. Some of these features are related to dominance. Mostly to testosterone levels that have an impact on our morphology. So we perceive as less trustworthy people who look more dominant because they were subjected to higher dosage of testosterone, and testosterone is related to higher levels of aggression. So we know what these are. I think it's not that important in this moment. I just wanted to emphasize that there are some specific issues, some focal points in the face of other people that we focus on. We will talk about baby-facedness, trustworthiness, attractiveness later in a greater detail. But at this moment, I just wanted to emphasize that we look at people very precisely, and we can get this very strict information that we all look at. Every person looks at, and so it's not necessarily something that we're trained to do. It's probably something that we are hardwired in our brains to do. It also has an effect. It also has an effect on the way how we judge other people, how it influences other people. So if a person has an untrustworthy face, right? And if a person has an untrustworthy face, the person is more likely, for instance, to be selected from a police lineup and face trial later, right? So it's a really strong influence. So a lineup, right? So the police takes one person who's really the suspect, and say 5 other persons just asked to go and stand there, of whom we know that they are innocent, and the person who accuses that I was mugged, I was robbed, I was attacked, needs to point out the real suspect. So if the person has an untrustworthy face, he or she is more likely to be pointed out, to be indicated as the villain. So, and we believe that if it's a real life situation, that the person is very much dedicated to indicate the real person, the real offender, and still is not able in most cases to do it. Is biased in his or her judgment. We need less evidence to convict for severe crimes if a person looks untrustworthy. So the face is an argument here. So it might be, it's very strange to say, but it might be an argument that people who face some criminal trial, there should be their identity, their facial identity should not be displayed. I know it's very difficult and it seems very strange to do, but if this is a serious bias, then it should be controlled in any way. And if people formulate judgments about someone else, that this person is accused, is really guilty or not, then this person should, that people have more confidence in this. Okay, so we can refer to a quote by a famous social psychologist, one of the earliest social psychologists, Solomon Asch, who said, "We look at the person and immediately a certain impression of his character forms itself in us," right? And if we all have it, we all agree to it. This is our common heritage. So a glance, a few spoken words are sufficient to tell us a story about a highly complex matter, because these trustworthy, untrustworthy dimensions, they provide a lot of information how to behave towards a person. We know that such impressions form with remarkable rapidity and with great ease. And the rapidity and ease is a crucial thing. We will talk about this later, that these two modes of processing information, one slow, effortful, painful a little bit, is not that important in our life as these processes that give you information quickly and with great ease, because these processes are the processes that formulate the first impression that we adjust by reasonable thinking, and they are the most frequent to occur because we don't like to waste energy. So unless there is a situation in which we really need to think about someone in greater detail, in a more critical way, and to use our reason and to use the thoughtful thinking, we don't do it. We need to have a very good reason to do it. So subsequent observations may enrich or upset our view, but we can no more prevent its rapid growth that we can avoid perceiving a given visual object or hearing a melody. So it's just irresistible experience. So guys, I would like to close this chapter here. So I will close our stream and I will initiate another one, and we will meet there in 10 minutes. Okay, so we have, this opportunity to make a short break. So let's take this opportunity. So you can get some snack. What are you doing now? I'm curious. When I was giving a lecture some time ago, someone said, "Okay, it's so great to have a lecture online because I can cook my dinner, or I can clean my house listening to this lecture and participating in this lecture," which is very funny. So I wonder, what are you doing now? You don't have to tell me this, but if you're doing something peculiar or funny, you might write to me. We also have like 2 or 3 minutes now. If you have any questions at this moment, so please feel free to write any questions. Or any comments. I will be happy. I will be happy to answer them if you have some comments at this moment. Before we make this short break, I'll have some lag, so you can write these comments. So in the meantime, I will tell you a joke. So you can write a comment or a question, and in the meantime, I will tell you a joke, and you will tell me whether it's funny or not. But it refers to this situation. So there is a guy who says to his friend, "I wouldn't like you to visit us anymore." And the other guy says, "Why is that? What's wrong? What's wrong? We are friends. Why you ask me not to visit you anymore? And the guy says, because when you visited us last time, $1,000, let's say, okay, or Polish currency, zloty, was missing. And the guy says, but I know that I didn't take it. How can you accuse me of this? And the guy says, yeah, obviously, I know that you didn't take it because we found this money later. But the impression remains. The bad impression remains. So and now you are laughing out loud. But it's a very good example that I don't like you anymore. Why? Because I accused you of something, so I formulated a new impression of you. Anna is laughing out loud. Thank you, Anna. It's so great. So I formulated this new impression, and even though, as Solomon Ash points out, Kalina, good one. Thanks you. So even though we know that the circumstances have changed, but still the impression remains. Whoa, three persons are laughing. It's a good one. So Carolina has a question. Formal issue. Please write to me on my email. Don't ask me formal questions like this here, because it will require too much, effort from other people. So Carolina, please write me an email. I will start answering your emails soon. My inbox was flooded with emails recently with your agreements and things like this. So I please write again if you wrote to me about this earlier. So okay, guys. So let's make a 10-minute break. And yeah, you're not the only one. You are unique, but you're not the only one. Okay. It's not a question, Julia said. It's interesting that if we have to choose bodyguard, we probably choose the person with untrustworthy face, even though we trust the person, at least when it comes to guarding. A good question. I mean, a good comment. Exactly. Because there are places, right? There are places and jobs for people with different characteristics. And obviously, if we want someone who's a baby, who will be the babysitter, we would like a person who looks more gentle, seems to have this, seems to have this characteristic of being not dominant, not aggressive, obviously, but obviously not too much, right? Perhaps not too baby-faced, because we also know, especially if not the first child, or we have some experience with children, that children require being strict a little bit. And if person is too soft, the person will not be a good babysitter. So we would like a person with strong personality as well, and not being too much, too much prone to being manipulated by the other person. So, but if we're looking for a bodyguard, obviously this person should be a person who's a good-willed, with charisma and integrity, a good, reliable person. But this person should look like a bodyguard. Should look like a bodyguard. Should have this untrustworthy face, dominant face. Should be probably stereotypically should be able to immediately in 30 milliseconds produce this message: don't approach me because you can regret this. Obviously, if we are talking about the bodyguard who has to serve this function, because we also have bodyguards, people use bodyguards who don't look like bodyguards. And it's also important to have a bodyguard who will not attract too much attention of this way. But very good comment. So thank you for this part of this lecture. So let's take a short break and let's meet in a moment. I will start a new stream, so you can join the new stream in a moment. Thank you.